Everybody, welcome to another episode of Visible Kindness. Today, I've got Lisa Zarcone. Now, Lisa Zarcone is a very special guest for me because I've wanted to have her on this show ever since I started this show. I've been following her for years now. When I say years, I mean, I think it's been like 6 years or something like that. She has better accuracy when it comes to numbers. But it's been, her journey has been incredible. I really, our journeys are similar. I would love to be where she's at with what she's done. I mean, she's an author, she's a speaker, she's a wife. I don't want to be a wife. So she's married. She's a prolific poet. I've read her poetry is amazing. The books that she's written, incredible. She has a very interesting life story. What I like about Lisa, and the reason why I've been following her so much, is that she offers so much hope and inspiration and motivation, and she does this on a daily basis. And she's so committed to what she does. As a public speaker, and I haven't heard her public speak. I would love to be in an event where she's speaking. But she's, other than being, she's on podcasts, she does interviews, she does live speaking, she does workshops, presentations. She is out there. I literally, I was telling her before we started, I want to be like what you're doing, because her story is powerful. Who she has become is powerful. So in her line of work, it's very interesting, and I relate to this. She's ignored. And we were talking again before the show started, she's ignored by many because the topic that we speak about, like child safety and mental health, more people are talking about politics, you know what I mean, and the economy, and things that are not really driving us and impacting us. Of course, those things do impact us. But, when it comes to child safety and mental health, those are massive topics in this country. I was listening last night to a YouTube video talking about the amount of mental health issues that children are having in this country now are astronomical compared to what they used to be years ago. And so it's very important that we do this. So she's very powerful. She's very humble. And I know I'm talking a lot about her, but I want you to know about her. I love what she has on her Facebook page as an opening comment or statement. And she says, don't care about your mistakes. Don't care about your mistakes around with you. Instead, place them under your feet, use them as stepping stones, and rise above. Use the stones to rise above. I like that. We all have stones in our lives. So, Lisa, I would love if you just introduce yourself now any way you want to, and tell us a bit about your background, and it would be great to get to know you. And then we're off, because I got some questions for you.
All right. So hello, everybody. And of course, thank you for having me on the show today. I'm really, really happy to be here, finally able to connect, because I have been following you as well. And your journey has been a powerful one. So I'm really glad that we can do this together. I think our energy together is going to rock it out there. So here I am. Yes, Lisa Zarcone, author of The Unspoken Truth, a Memoir, and the Book of Joanne. I am also a public speaker, a child and mental health advocate. I blog on my own website, lisazarcone.net, and I call myself a social media influencer because I am literally everywhere. Google Lisa Zarcone, you're going to find me. Honestly, I'm all over the place. I've now jumped onto TikTok. I'm doing motivational.
Yeah, TikTok. Good for you.
Yeah, it's so funny because my granddaughter's like, Mima, you got to get on TikTok. Because yes, I'm a grandmother. And she's like, you got to get on TikTok. That's where it's at. So now I'm on TikTok, but I do a lot of motivational speaking there. I leave a lot of inspirational messages. And you're right. It is a passion for me. It's a goal. And it's something that I do every single day. I commit to it. It's so important. And you also said I'm a wife. Yes, I'm a wife. I'm a mom of 3 and I'm a grandmother of 4. And
oh my gosh, that is so great.
My husband and I are raising 2 of our grandchildren, so we're doing it all over again, learning about the signs of the times. You got to roll with it. You got to evolve. So there's a lot out there, and I'm loving what I do. I love speaking. I love doing personal events when I can really connect with people and really talk to them face to face, because that's when you find the most authenticity in what you're doing, because you can see the reactions. And I love that. I love that personal connection. And I have to tell you, I always tell people, if you want to reach out to me, I'm always available. I'm always there. I answer everybody who writes to me, everyone who connects with me. I make that time to do so because I feel it's so important. Because if someone is reaching out to me and they have a story or they have an issue and they're looking for that support and validation, I want to be that person that can do that. And if I can help someone in any way, shape, or form, I'm really willing to do that. So that is who I am and what I'm doing. I have a lot of things in the work for the future, but I'm just glad I'm here today and we can have this wonderful conversation.
Yes, thank you. Everything you say, I have so many questions. I have them listed. So I want to ask you. Let me just. I'm going to kind of go all over the place here because there's a certain path I want to go on. But you have a 501c3, and that organization is called. What is it called again? I'm trying to even literally remember.
NASCA.
No. NASA?
No, NASCA.
NASCA, yes. So tell us about that and where that what you're doing with that and what is the impact having in that area?
Yeah, so I am the Massachusetts National Ambassador and Regional Director for the New England area for NASCA. And NASCA is the National Association of Adult Survivors of Child Abuse. So, as an adult survivor of child abuse, stepping forward, sharing my personal story, I connected with NASCA after my book was published in 2016. And I went on the show and I shared my story for the first time on a podcast, radio station. And what an amazing experience it was. And, the founder, Bill Murray, he really encouraged me to do so. And everybody at NASCA was so wonderful and welcoming to me. It made me feel like, okay, I want to do this too. I want to be an ambassador. I want to be able to connect with people and help. So what do I do as a NASCA ambassador? I advocate. I put myself out there and people will connect with me if they need help or support. And I don't just do that for people from Massachusetts, even though that's where my ambassadorship it derives from. But I help anyone who's reaching out and asking for help. I will look up information. I will try to find them, what they're looking for to help them with their needs. And of course, NASCA's got a lot of those wonderful free services. There's, the radio show you can go on and you can talk about your own stories because for abuse survivors, it's so validating to be able to break the silence, get out there, share your story, and know that you're not alone. You find that when when you're involved in groups like this, that you're not alone in your struggles. You're not alone. People do understand, and I think that's huge to have a safe space to speak and understanding about what you've been through. Those are two very big key things on the healing journey. And NASCA also has other, programs to help people. So there's definitely different support groups and a lot of information on the website. So there's a little bit of everything happening out there. But yes, I've been with NASCA, oh my God, for a long time now. And since my book came out, and I'm really proud of the work that I'm doing, and I'll continue to do so.
For some reason, I don't know why, for some reason, I thought not it was your own 501c3. I thought you had a 501c3. And yeah. It's still, I say this almost on every episode. You're dealing with someone who's recovering from a brain surgery. I'm like, should I be waiting to do a podcast until that's fixed? It's like, nah, forget it. Let it roll. But yeah, I like NASCA. I need to get back involved with them because I was for a while.
Yes. And it's a never ending thing because, there's always that need and there's always that drive to help people and to connect people. So it's always get back into it. And if you decide you want to get on there to share your story, you got the radio, you got all of those things, but it's a wonderful program and I'm really proud to be a part of it. And I just do what I do and sometimes I just let life pull me a little bit and say, hey, this is the direction I need to be in right now. So you ride that wave.
And I love that because that's really something that's always been on my heart for quite a while, trying to figure out what I want to do. And as you know, I ended up going through a lawsuit and I sued the government back in Canada. I went through the Supreme Court. I filmed a lot of that and my documentary's finally coming out this year. And it's like, I've said that for so long, but I literally could not because my brain was not working, but thankfully it's working again. But I want to ask you about your book. I don't have your book. And as soon as we're done, I'm ordering your book. I'm going to read. I'm very interested in reading your book. And I can see myself doing a solo on that after I'm done. But the book is called, help me out, it's called
The Unspoken Truth, a memoir.
The Unspoken Truth, a Memoir. And I love the cover on that, where there's a little girl down here, and you got this. It's like a dark. It's a very well done cover. So can you talk to us about that book? What brought you into thinking about making it, writing it, what it's about, and the impact that it's had?
Yeah, so first of all, well, let's tap into the cover before I get into all of that. I designed that cover, which was
No
very
kidding.
cool.
It is
Yeah,
so good.
I wanted it to speak to what I had been through. So of course, the unspoken truth, my silence, living, the life of an abused child in silence. The little girl with her finger like this, the little tear
Yes.
coming from her eye, and the house in the background. It is very dark. So I used to call my house the house of horrors, because every time I stepped foot into that house, I never knew what was going to happen to me next. So when I created that cover, it was really all about the premise and the power of my story. This young child who was silenced by horror and abuse. And that was my life growing up. I went through a lot. My story is really complex because it's not just one thing. It's not, it's, and I don't say it lightly, like it's not just abuse. Abuse is abuse and it's awful. But what my story was complex. I had a mom who was severely mentally ill. She was my main abuser. I lost my brother, my best friend. He was 9 years old. I was 6 years old. I lost him
Oh
to
my gosh, I didn't even know that.
Yes, I lost him to leukemia. And my brother was like my biggest protector because he was really, it's interesting, as kids, we were really in tune to my mom and her illness and her struggles. And he was my biggest protector. And when I lost him, that was such devastation for me. And that's when my whole family fell apart. My dad couldn't handle losing his wife and his son because he always said the day my brother died is the day he lost my mom. And that's just so true because my mother could never come back from what happened, with her mental health struggles, plus losing her only son. So I was
Mm.
this little lost child in the middle of all this dysfunction, chaos, and that's when the abuse really started to explode.
Wow.
So in the beginning of my story, when I write my story, it's from the age of 6. It's from when I lost my brother. This is the beginning of my story, and I take you through the stages of my life growing up until young adulthood, because the trauma brought such silence. It brought such, the pain was so deep that it did push me into silence, and it also put me into unsafe spaces. My mother used to bring people into our home. People would prey upon me. So I was getting it from all angles. And I was sexually abused by a second abuser who came into our home and took his opportunity. And, I'm going to say it. He abused me and he raped me. And it wasn't just once, it was countless times over a period of time. So my abuse went on for years upon years upon years before it was finally over. And then even into adulthood, I still was with my mom. I stayed connected with my mother. I was her advocate. So I was still being abused verbally, excuse me, throughout my life as trying to be her, the dutiful daughter, the one who's taking care of her and loving her, and rode that fine line of love and hate for a very, very long time. And what pushed me to really write my story was the fact that I wanted people to understand the child's perspective of abuse. So I went about my story a very different way. I wrote it from the child's perspective. This is a story that's very raw, profound, riveting, because I write in the moment. It was very hard to tap into those old core memories of that abuse and put it onto paper and then to share it with the world. Very, very difficult to do, but hugely therapeutic. But so my story is very raw. It's bamming in your face. I tell everybody, trigger warning when you read it, because when I say I wrote it from the child's perspective, I certainly did. I left nothing to the wayside. It's all there, and it really speaks to the damaged mind of a child. So sometimes it's choppy, it's it's a little cloudy when you read it sometimes, but that really just does truly speak to how the child is damaged from prolonged abuse. So that was what really geared me to share, because I wanted people to understand, and I wanted to advocate about child safety and children's mental health.
I've been wanting to write my memoir as well. and I've been planning on it and I think it takes the right timing, not, hey, I want to write a book, especially when
Yeah.
it comes to something like this. And now I know I'm ready. What I wanted to ask you, when what you just said, when you're writing it from a child's perspective, what is that like? What is that like? Like, can you give us an example of what would that sound like?
Yeah. So it's interesting when I was in therapy. So I did a lot of this work in therapy because I did therapy on a couple of different, times and time frames in my life. And the last therapist that I was working with, he would say to me, Lisa, write some stuff down. I want you to write down little pieces of your life and then bring them in and we'll talk about it. And he said, start from the beginning. So that's what I started to do. So I was sitting, no lie, sitting thinking, how am I going to write this? What do I want to write about? Where do I want to begin? And then I'm really tapping into those old core memories of abuse. And then I had to really look at it and look at little Lisa, the inner child Lisa, where that pain was coming from, what brought me there, all that darkness and all, with the journey that I've traveled. So I did take it small doses and I wrote things down. And it was really, really hard because it brought back nightmares, it brought back flashbacks. And those are things I had to emotionally work through and mentally work through to be able to put it on paper, type it on up, you make it, clear as possible. It was really hard because it really hurts when you look at a young child that's supposed to be safe and loved and cared for. And then you're looking at the reality of what that child really went through. And that child was me. And it was hard. But I have to tell you, the more I was doing it, it pushed me to want to do it more. It pushed me to want to go to the next story. It pushed me to want to go to the next age bracket and put it out there. So it was an amazing process. And like you said, it doesn't happen overnight. It took me almost 6.5 years from when I first started writing all the way through to publishing my book. A long journey, a long healing process. But as hard as the work was, I'm so grateful that I was able to do it.
I'm going to ask you a question. We can delete this. Do you have your book in the room there?
I do. I
Would
do.
you mind? Would you mind finding something like a paragraph you could read to us?
Oh, wow. Um,
Yeah.
hang on. I'm trying, I'll go off camera so you're not like
Yeah,
looking
don't
at
worry
the whole
about it. Yeah.
body as I'm
I'll
pulling it
I'll
up off
I'll
the
I'll
shelf.
I'll sing and I'll do a magic trick while you do that.
Want me to read a small piece?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see what I got. I'll see what I have a bookmark in here, so I don't know what I was looking at, but I'll let you know in a moment. Let's see. Okay. Oh, okay. This is going to be just random. Is that okay?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to give you a little premise of what I'm reading to you. So when my brother and I were young and we were very, very close, he was always afraid of so many things, and he was terrified of the dark. I was terrified of the dark, but for some reason he would call out to me at night and he would be like, come into my room, come into my room. And I'd be like running down the hall, this little girl, going in, and I would jump on his bed with him and we would chat, and he would be afraid of things. So when he became ill with leukemia, he struggled a lot. And one night he called me into his room, and I'm going to read to you.
And how old were you and him?
So at this time, he was 9 and I was 6.
Okay.
So this little blurb here is called Out of the Mouth of Babes. Lisa, are you awake? I hear his voice from down the hall. Yes, John, I am. What is wrong? I'm scared again. Can you come see me? Okay, I'm coming. I climb out of bed and run down the hall as fast as I can because I am scared of the dark. I jump into his bed and we lay there looking up at the ceiling. I ask, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid of dying, he says to me, still looking up at the ceiling. I rub my hand on his face and say, please don't go. I want you to stay with me forever. I will stay with you, Lisa, forever, I promise. Will you really die, John? Yes, he says. The angels told me I would be going soon. Tell them I said they couldn't take you away from me. They said I have no choice, but I can come back and visit any time. Okay, so if you go, it will just be for a little while, and then you can come visit anytime you want. He says, yes, anytime. Then I will be waiting for you. Maybe one day I can go with you with the angels and they can teach me how to fly. He laughed at me, and then we laughed together. I love you so much, Lisa. I love you too, John John. What were we seeing back then?
Wow. Wow. That was something else.
Yeah. Yeah, we had a serious connection, a huge, massive bond beyond little kids loving each other as brother and sister. And that was a very powerful moment, a moment I'll never forget.
Thank you for doing that.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you
That
for
just,
asking.
yeah. That's exciting. Not exciting, but I'm just impressed with that. I can't wait to get the book, and I will. And I know I already know that I can see myself doing a solo episode on that because I'm always impacted by other people's stories. Yeah, that's really something. So what are you doing now? Like what are your plans for this year, and where are you headed?
So this year I am pushing my second story, The Book of Joanne, which is my mother's story and her lifelong battle with mental illness. This story is from birth to death, everything in between, and our relationship as mother and daughter. It's another very impactful, powerful story. And I wrote my mom's story a lot differently than I wrote mine. Hers is a complete novel. She gave me all sorts of information, about her upbringing and her generational abuse and generational mental illness. So I am going to really put effort into getting her story out there more, speaking engagements, of course, workshops and presentations. I do keynote speaking. I will be gearing on those things. And right now, I just finished co-authoring a book, so which is going to be coming out. So I shared a story in this book. So it's from the Rattle Awake series with Lonnie Ray. And she asked me to join in on this collaboration with a bunch of different, people from all walks of life. And we're all sharing stories. It's in it for inspirational and advocacy purposes. That's coming out. And then we'll see where I go from there. I have a children's series that I really want to get published. I'm really looking into that. But of course, my main goal is always to be public speaking, abdicating, doing all those types of things. And of course, another goal for myself is pushing for more, mental health programming in our school systems for our youth. And so I'm just all these different things. And on my radar, just like you, I want to do a documentary. I would love to do a documentary about my journey. So at some point, that is something I will be looking into. So you'll be hearing a lot from me this year. I'll be speaking and chatting wherever I can go. And that is kind of the goal for me for now. Yeah.
Wow. When you go to do your documentary, if you let me know if you got a team ready to go, that's great. But if talk to me, I'd be happy to do that for you.
Well, thank you. I know we can chat about it at some point. I'm
Yeah.
definitely not ready for that, but that is something I would like to see in my future. I think it kind of just it falls into the line of everything that I'm doing. And another thing I'm really looking at as well, and this kind of goes into a different realm slightly, is looking to promote a law. It's called Liam's Law. So, long story short, my grandson Liam has disabilities and he has autism, sensory disorders, and
Oh,
trauma.
kidding.
Yeah,
Oh, this
complex.
is interesting. I didn't know this.
Yeah, so it's been a journey with Liam as well, and Liam has a lot of things that have happened in his life, and a child with disabilities in the school system does not always get the proper help and support that they need and
No,
proper understanding.
no.
On my radar, which is something I'm looking at, is creating a Liam's Law, and this will surround the topic of how to, handle a child with disabilities, how to handle a child with complex PTSD, not being labeled as the bad child or the disruptive child. What is really, going on with the child? So the law will look a lot like that. Like, how are we going to help this child? What's programming that we can, put out there to support the children in need the way Liam, and other kids like him need to be supported, and being respected and not treated, unfairly. And unfortunately, Liam has been treated unfairly in different circumstances due to his disability. So that is something is on my radar, something that I want to make happen. So, like I said, a lot of ideas, a lot of things, but I'm going to just continue to push forward every which way I can.
Do you know Nicole Mooring?
I know the name.
Oh
Why do
my
I know?
gosh, you should like we are really good friends. We're meeting for video coffee. What is it today? On Friday. And she's been on my show before. And that was back when I only did audio, and I've got it all on video. I'm going to put the video up. But her son has autism, and it's a wild story because he was sexually abused by multiple men, and it's incredible. So I've been with her on that journey since I started this podcast. However long ago that was, and it was even before then. And yeah, I'm meeting with her on Thursday, or sorry, Friday. You guys should connect because she is very involved in trying to make a difference like that. I mean, she is. I'm impressed with what she's done. I mean, she talks to, on the political side, with I don't even know the words to say. You've already said them, but make a difference when it comes to introducing a law that's going to make a difference in this space. But you definitely need to know her. It'd be
And I feel like we're connected. I have to look on my LinkedIn. For some reason, I feel like we're connected in some way, but if not, I'll definitely look and connect with her. I know this is how we can help one another, and talking about these things, making a conversation happen, sharing our information with each other. This is how people help each other move forward and make things happen. So it's always a great way to have a conversation starter.
Since we're coming. I'm doing my show's around 30 minutes or so, and I wanted to. There's a couple of questions I had for you. One at the very, very end, but I'm thinking of. I like how you coordinate. Coordinate is not the right word. I like all the relationships you have on many different levels with many different people and organizations, and it's really you're really making a difference, and I love that you're setting such a good example for me in the directions I want to go. You really do represent that for me, and men need this on the man side big time, and we don't. I never hear topics about pornography ever. It's like I have. I'll never forget. I was sitting in a coffee shop one day, and there was a leadership from some church talking about gays and lesbians in their church. And I was listening to this conversation. How are they going to handle it and everything? And I felt like getting up and walking to their table and asking a question. I just have a question. Do any of you look at pornography? Because I know absolutely one of them would have been guaranteed.
Right.
Because we need to look after ourselves and where we're right and in good right standing before we start judging other people, and we need to have a more of a kindness and a love towards other people, other than what do we do like this, because that was the attitude towards it. Like, do we accept them, do we not? And I'm like, what? You got to be kidding me.
But isn't that like the way of the world right now? And the whole point when you talk about like how kindness matters and we should be promoting more kindness, because you see we are in a very judgmental world.
Yes.
And this is why you see a lot of kids, struggling the way they are. And that's why I talk about the mental health piece so much, because our kids are being bombarded with the social media,
Oh,
bombarded
yes.
judgment. Adults the same. And people become afraid to speak because they don't want to be judged. And how awful is that, especially for our youth that are trying to find their voice, trying to find their way and where they want to go in life, and they're feeling squashed because no matter what they think or feel, someone is right here going, nope, this is the, negativity, 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 judgment, judgment, judgment. And it should be, hey, embrace it. Let's see where this takes you, finding, people who support you. So again, bringing out these conversations. And then you talk about like men struggle with disclosing, of course, abuse, especially sexual abuse.
Yep.
And that's,
Yep.
and men's mental health, very important to talk about, because men deserve a safe space to speak, just like a woman deserves a safe space to speak. And like all of us, that's really like should be the common goal, is just to find a safe space to speak and disclose. And you bring pornography into it. There's pornography addictions. And you're right. There's people out there that put themselves way up high on this pedestal, but what are they doing behind closed doors?
Right.
That's just so you see it all the time. So yes, it's hard when you hear people be so judgmental, because of course, myself included, I want to step in and say something many times, because it's like, hey, stop. Like, can we just bring in a little bit more understanding and compassion?
Yes. And children, I think of when you said that, they live in a, we're living in a day and age when we have these things. Well, it's empty. It's on my stand, but they're so influenced by their phones and social media, and we didn't have that when we were growing up with the abuse that we went through.
Right.
Thank God we didn't have social media on top of that as well. And today it's just a maze for children to find out who they are, because all they're doing is, for the most part, and in many cases, it's what are they seeing on social media? That's what I want to be like. And then that's what they do. And for many of them, it destroys actually who they are and what their lives are meant to be. And it's so sad. And I want to speak into that area as well. I think that's why I like to make a lot of comedies. Be yourself. Be you. Don't try to be somebody else on TikTok. Don't try to be a social media popular person. Find out who you are. And that's a huge topic, and it's not easy for anybody, but for children especially.
Right.
It has been so great. It has been so great having you here. I've looked forward to this for so long. I want to ask you, as we come close to the end, I'd like to ask what kind of kindness, whether it's an act or whether it's an implementation of a program, because kindness reaches on a very small level, like like the lady at the grocery store. I told her, "Do you want to hug or do you want to fight?" I don't know if you saw that clip, but it was what happened there. It was so great, because every day, instead of focusing on my goals and my vision for my life, I'm literally focused on what kind of kindness can I put out today. I got to go get groceries, or I have to go to the gas, wherever I'm going. And this lady, she accidentally bumped into me, and she was so sorry for doing. I'm so sorry, she said. And I wasn't even thinking. I've learned how to be myself now, and I'm really enjoying who I am becoming. And I turned around to her and I said to her, "You want to fight?" And I was thinking, what are you doing? Like, what are you saying? I said, "Do you want to fight or do you want to hug?" "I'll do one or the other." And you could see the people standing there. They were like, first of all, when I said you want to fight, you could see people like, what is this guy doing? And then, or do you want to hug? And then she looked at me and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I'll take a hug." And then she was a perfect stranger getting her groceries. I hugged her, and just the impact that had with the people that saw that was just, it was. This is what drives me and makes my day. And then I got to my car, made that clip, but the whole background behind it you don't get, because it's just a short clip. But that's what happened, and it just lifted me. It lifted her, and this is what I love to do. So I'm asking you, what do you see, or what would you like to do, or what is waiting on the doorsteps for you of kindness? Because you mentioned this like I ask questions for all my guests that they send to me. How would you like to see kindness make an impact with what you're doing, or your daily life, or just anything? What is on your mind when I ask you that question?
Now, the first thing that comes to my mind, and this is going to sound cheeky and cliche, is every day I wake up and I think about how am I going to impact the world today in a positive way? What can I bring to the table that I could put out there that is going to affect somebody in a good way, to uplift their spirits, bring inspiration, bring motivation? And my gears are turning. Like I'm drinking my coffee, my gears are turning. I'm thinking about how do I want to do this today? And literally every day I do. And then I do break out into social media and I post my stuff and I'm always sharing things. But like you talk about the face-to-face conversations. When I go about my day, I always try to be mindful about being kind to others. Eye contact, smiles, giving someone a random compliment. Like the other day, I forgot where I was, and this woman had her nails done beautifully. And I'm like, oh my God, I absolutely love your nails. They're gorgeous. And she's like, oh, thank you. It just, it makes other people feel good, but it also makes you
Yes.
feel good to, offer a kind word, a smile, like you said, a hug. Sometimes people just need a hug because life
I
is
mean,
hard.
that was wild. I mean, who hugs a stranger? It
I
was just,
know. And it's funny because like if I'm in the store, I'm always talking to somebody. My husband laughs all the time. He's like, Lisa, can you like do you ever stop talking? I'm like, no. I'm like, you should know that by now, 39 years later, right?
oh my gosh.
But it is always my goal to offer kindness, to help people in any way that I can. So it's always on my radar. I love to see people laugh and smile. I love to be able to say something that's going to make them feel good. So when I step forward, that's always in my mind about doing that. Random acts of kindness, even holding the door for somebody. Some
Yes.
people actually look at you like crazy. You're holding a door
Yes.
and you're being kind. And I also have like my winter hat says, be kind on it. And it's funny because sometimes people will smile at me, and other times people will look at me kind of like, like, because they're not used to that. I have
Yes.
another hat that says, be a good human.
Oh, I
Be
like that.
a good human. I love that hat. It's got a pineapple on it. Be a good human. And really, the message is just saying to everybody, just do the best you can. Just be nice. Just be,
Yes.
you don't have to be aggressive and mean and on high overdrive 24/7. Take a step back and just offer a little kindness. It's amazing how you can change someone else's day and how you make yourself feel better. And those things do really help everyone. It's a universal thing. Smile, offer some kindness.
Yes. It is
It's
that
good stuff.
powerful.
It is that powerful. It's easy, it's simple. You don't have to be like long life connection. It's just a simple thing you can do that helps everyone. So offer kindness as often as possible.
I did a solo episode a few weeks ago called The Butterfly Effect. And it's the concept of where, like if a butterfly flaps its wings somewhere in the planet from the subatomic level, it actually makes an impact in the air, and it travels just like when you throw a rock in the water, that the water, it's like a tsunami, right?
Right. So
The
that
river's
ripple effect.
going, and it makes an effect, and
Yes.
we need more of that. One of the things I started doing was I have a deck of cards with me that have a whole bunch of different kindness quotes on it, and then on the back and it's nice and shiny on the front, and on the back I can write something on it. And so when I'm out, I carry them with me, and then when I see someone do something, anything, I'll write on it. It was great I'll write a note on there that was specific to them, and then hand them this little card, and they get the card. They're like wondering if I'm giving them a business card, right? And they look at it and they're like, it just boom, just makes their day, and it makes my day as well. It
Those
makes a difference.
yeah, these are things that we can do. Like these are simple things that we can do. And that taps us into the moment, being in the moment.
Yes,
Because everybody is so distracted. If you're not on the phone, you're distracted about this, you're distracted, again, everything in the news, the politics, everything has become so heavy and
yeah,
everyone's so reactive that just
yes,
out that good energy really
yes.
narrative. And that's what we need more of.
I was thinking also when I travel and I'm in public places, I've been starting to take pictures of groups of people. Like when I went home to Canada for Christmas, I'm in an airport, and it was in Vancouver Airport at the Tim Hortons donut store. Tim Hortons is the big donuts, and there was, I don't know, like 18 people standing in line, and every single person
Yes.
was every single one. So I got up and I took this shot of all these people, no conversations, nothing, just looking at a phone. And then I was in a Bouchard Gardens on Vancouver Island. It's a beautiful, beautiful garden park. And there was a dad with three of his daughters. Three of their daughters had two friends. There was five girls and a dad. And they're sitting in this beautiful, beautiful resting part in the park. And every single one of them were on their phones and in different positions facing different directions. And I took that picture, and I'm glad I did, because it is I mean, I get emotional looking at it. Like, what is going on here? Here you are.
Profound.
Unbelievable.
It is profound, because that just shows you the disconnection. And people are struggling to be in the moment. People struggle to have conversation. Everything becomes anxiety riddled and awkward because people have lost that piece, that socialization piece. And the pandemic definitely put a damper on it. But even since that, since recovery of that, people are so involved in their phones, and they are not looking up. Like you said, you're in this beautiful park. The phone should be put away. Everybody should be embracing.
Oh, yeah.
And the nature and all of those things. That's something I always instilled in all my kids and my grandchildren, is that when you're outside and you're embracing this stuff, be focused on just that, the beauty of nature, how that helps us. It helps us emotionally and mentally to be grounded and to be focused. And those are important things. And those are lessons that are being lost as these generations come about with the more high technology. And we need to get back to some of the basics on that. And that's hard. But the more we raise our voices and speak out and make contact with people and give them that eye contact and smile, you're almost forcing them to do the same.
That's right. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's a good point. I love that.
It might feel a little uncomfortable for them in the moment, getting them out of their comfort zone. But I think after the fact, people like look at that moment and go, oh, wow. Like someone's really engaged. Someone's really like noticed me. Someone's really like taken a moment to acknowledge my existence here.
Yes.
And those are important things that we just need to keep doing.
One last thing, all these memories come back to me. It was a few weeks ago. I was at the grocery store, and it was a slow time of day, and so there weren't many people going in and out of the door. And I was going out, and there was this lady coming in. She was like 100 feet away, and so I thought, I'm going to stand here and hold this door open until this lady gets here. So I did, and as I'm standing there, she's walking, and she's on her phone, walking. She's looking up, and she keeps looking up, and there I am standing there, like, what am I doing? And I said, I just want you to know, I am holding the door open for you. And I said it like that. I'm always loud and all these words. I said, I'm holding it up for you. She goes, really? I said, yes. And she said, well, thank you so much. That's amazing. Well, it wasn't that. I didn't say it, but I'm thinking it wasn't that amazing, was it? But it sure was to her. Just somebody did that.
Yeah, someone noticed her. Somebody took that moment to notice her. So that's a beautiful thing. And those are things we got to keep on doing.
Lisa, I want to thank you for being here. This was so great. I've been waiting to do that. We'll have to do this again down the road. I can see it.
Yeah. I would love to.
I would love to. I have so many other questions for you, but thank you for being here, and thank you for doing what you're doing. It's been great to follow you and get to know you, and even more so now that we've had this chance to talk on this show. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. I'm glad we're finally able to connect. We'll definitely do it again. I like what we're talking about, and we'll just keep bringing it. So connect with me and let me know.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you so much, Lisa.
Thank you. And I just want to leave everybody with embrace the journey.
All right.